G'day guys, my name is CJ. This video is going to be slightly different because this is a suitcase, and more specifically, a July carry-on and one of their most recent models from their very new dark mode series. And this is perfect timing because as the borders open up, more and more people are going to be traveling. It's getting to Christmas and people are going to be thinking about travel. In fact, airplane tickets now are so expensive, so chances are you're one of these people that's thinking about traveling for Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever. It's going to be really important to get yourself a new suitcase. And that's perfect for me as well because I'm actually going to be going on a weekend trip for a wedding very soon to Queensland. And this is perfect timing because I've actually been looking for a new suitcase for quite some time. In actual fact, I've been keeping an eye on the July suitcases for a little while now. So I reached out and they were good enough to send me one of their new models to check out. So what better way to test it out than to go on a trip locally to Queensland for a weekend for a wedding to see how it goes. But first, let's unbox this thing. So the suitcase comes in a very nice branded cardboard box. Let's crack it open. Check that out. Nothing to lose and a world to see. Very apt considering there's so many more people that's going traveling nowadays. We've got ourselves a bit of paperwork, put that to the side, and we've got our suitcase. Let's crack it open. And there it is, in its glory. Now, if you're not familiar with the brand July, then they are a group based out of Melbourne who've been making suitcases for a few years now. And this is actually their award-winning carry-on model, probably one of their most popular ones. This one is in their new dark mode theme, which is their new line of suitcases where they pair a dark black color with a few nice bright accents just for a little bit of pizzazz. So you see the one that I've got here is the blue dark mode version, and I think it looks really nice. Now, I've never owned one of these suitcases before, so I'm really excited to try this out. Externally, it looks really simple, but it's still nice and elegant, and I love these blue accents on the side. On the outside, you've got a really nice, sturdy, German-made polycarbonate shell, which apparently is unbreakable, but we'll have to see. On the corners here, you've also got some really nice aluminium bumpers, which I really like. That's gonna help if you really wanted to either check it in or if you're someone who's otherwise quite rough with their suitcase. On the sides, you've got two grab handles, which is great because my last carry-on suitcase didn't actually have a side handle, so that's really nice. So you've got the one on the side and also the one on top, and they both feel really sturdy. On the top, you've also got your TSA lock with the combination and also the little switch. And you've also got these zippers which feel really, really sturdy, really smooth, but also really strong. On the bottom, you've got Silent Move July wheels. Now, I'm not really sure what brand they are, but they are a little bit recessed in, which is great because again, my last carry-on suitcase had wheels that stuck pretty much straight out from the corner of the suitcase, and that meant over time, with more rough handling, the wheels actually bent into the suitcase and it became a real problem when using it. Any sort of weight put into the suitcase meant that if you weren't careful, it was gonna tip over because the wheel had a bias towards bending inwards. Not here though, they're slightly recessed, so it means that they're gonna be a little bit more protected, and that's great. On the sides, you've got their July branding, which is really nice. And can I just say, it just feels really solid as I move it around. And then on the back here, you've got the telescopic handles. Now, I'm yet to check it out, but apparently you've got unlimited customizability in terms of the height. So we're gonna check that out when we're going traveling. But also, what I really love being a gadget geek is that in the back here, you've got a little slot for a 10,000 milliamp hour battery, and that's going to be really useful for travels. Now, to get in, you basically just hit the switch if the combination's right. There you go. And we crack it open. And there it is. Now, I'm not someone that's ever used things like these compression straps or compression pads before, but just first impressions, feels really sturdy, and it's going to be great to use this compression pad to really optimize space and pack as much stuff in as I can. On the side here, you've got a little zip pocket, and inside you've got a little laundry bag that's going to be really useful, especially for these shorter trips. And then inside, that's pretty much it. I must say though, the unit that holds the telescopic handles and also where the power bank sits does take up quite a bit of space inside here. So I'll be curious to see whether or not it's going to be able to fit enough for my stuff. Now, let's go to the sides. So this zip compartment I'd like to use to put things that I want to separate from my clothes. Things like shoes, toiletries, electronics, things like that. Plus, dirty laundry, when it's ready, it's going to go in there as well. But inside, the cavity is actually quite decently sized. It also comes with a little bag that will hold electronics. And as we would probably expect, comes with a little branded cable to charge up that power bank. So that's really great. But otherwise, that's pretty much it when it comes to the suitcase. In the next couple of days, I'm gonna come back, pack the bag, I'm gonna go on that trip. So I'll catch you very soon. I've just finished packing my suitcase. It's the night before we're gonna fly. And the first thing I'm gonna make comment about is that the suitcase is actually a little heavier than you might think. It's about 3.5 to 3.7 kilograms in weight. Now, as far as carry-on suitcases go, it's actually not the lightest out there. So you do have to be careful depending on how you're gonna travel. So if you're gonna travel on a budget airline, just be wary of some of the baggage weight limits. Sometimes they only have a maximum of 7 kilos. So if this is about 3.7 kilos already, you're already looking at half of the allocated weight already taken up. So you might either need to be a little bit more frugal in terms of what you're packing, or perhaps forward plan and maybe purchase a little bit of extra weight with your carry-on suitcase. But other than that, the suitcase also says it can carry up to 42 liters of space. And I think having packed it just then, it really does live up to this claim. In actual fact, I only packed enough for about 2 days. Well, basically a weekend trip. If I was a little bit more strategic and if I really needed to, I reckon I could definitely pack somewhere up to 5 nights to 7 nights of a trip away. Let's crack open the suitcase and we'll show you what we've packed and how it looks. Now, the first thing that I'm going to give a shout out to is this compression pad. I've never used any carry-on suitcase or any suitcases for that matter with this feature. And I don't know how I lived without it because it makes packing it so much easier and it gives you a little bit of extra space and makes closing the suitcase that much easier. Plus, I really like this Y strap here. Other carry-on suitcases, you might find the straps going over on the opposite direction. I find all that really does is just bunch up everything on the sides and it doesn't really do a great job of holding things down. Now, we're going to first start off on the open side. So all you need to do, crack open the Y clip. First thing that I've got is an extra jacket. It is La Nina season in Queensland at the moment, so could get a little bit breezy and a little bit wet. Now on this side, I use packing cubes to organize my luggage and I love packing cubes. So on the top, I've got this packing cube full of pants. So I've got 2 pairs of long pants, a pair of shorts, and also my PJs. On the bottom cube, I've got all my shirts. So I've packed about 4 t-shirts plus 2 quite lightweight linen button shirts like these. And honestly, it looks a little full at the moment, but I could pack a heap more stuff in there if I really needed to. And honestly, it compresses down a little bit more than you expect. The compression pad that we've got here goes a long way to optimize this space as well. Let's move on to the other side now. So as you can see, there's still quite a lot of space in here, but given that we're only traveling for a weekend, this is more than enough. So let's have a look and see what we've got. We've got a pair of leather shoes because we're going to a wedding and you do need to dress up a little bit. I've also used the little bag that the USB-C cable for the power bank came in, and I've got my adapters and a couple of other extra cables in there as well, and that fits quite nicely. On the side, you've got a rain jacket, got an umbrella in here as well. I've got quite a long one, but it does still fit quite nicely, not a problem. I've got a packing cube for underwear and some socks as well, and I've got my toiletry bag. It's only going to be a 2-night trip, so I'm not going to need a ton of stuff, but as you can see, there's still so much space in here. So if you wanted to bring a ton more cosmetics, accessories, other bits and bobs, you're definitely going to be able to fit them in here. So we'll pack all this up again and we'll show you how the compression pad works. So we're going to pop this jacket back in, flip the compression pad over, clip it together, and all you really need to do is tug, and then every now and then just periodically push it down, and so that you can tighten the Y strap. And once it's really tight and it's not going to budge anymore, that's it. And all you have to do is close it up. Really easy thanks to that compression pad. And we are ready to travel. We'll see how it goes when I get back from Queensland. We'll see you then. Hi. Cool. Yep. Right, so we are back in Adelaide after a weekend trip away to Brisbane, and I can honestly say it was a real joy to use the July carry-on. Now, of course, I didn't check this into the cargo hold, so I can't comment on how well it tolerates the often rough treatment these suitcases get by the baggage handlers, but I mean, this suitcase is called the carry-on. It's meant to be carried onto a plane, so that's what we did. And it was great. The size is slightly bigger than our older carry-on suitcases, but it did mean that we could fit more things comfortably, and that's despite one half of the suitcase pretty much being filled completely by the handle and power bank storage. It contained more than enough space, and in fact I probably overpacked for this trip. With the amount I actually brought, probably could have lasted over 5 to 7 days. On top of that, since it was a wedding that we were going to, I brought a suit separately, as you probably saw in the previous B-roll. But after the wedding, I decided I didn't want to separately hold a suit bag, so I threw all of it, thick tweed suit and everything, into the suitcase, and it still fit perfectly fine. Helping this, of course, though, was the Y-straps combined with that compression pad. I really loved this feature, and I loved how it optimized space by pushing and compressing all the clothes down. Even with all my pulling and tugging, it never felt like it was going to break. And it did really well to push the contents down without really crushing the items underneath, since the middle is a little bit flexible. Now the buckle and the strap that's being used is really solid. In fact, the straps kind of feel like seatbelt material, so it's really strong. Sometimes these parts in other suitcases can feel a little flimsy or plasticky, but not here. It's super solid and it felt really great. Now I think the zip compartment was also just the right size to fit things that you want to keep separate to your clothes, like shoes, your toiletries, electronics, and of course the dirty laundry, of which the included bag compacted down well and did really well. And it could even fit a decent sized collapsible umbrella, which was awesome since La Nina is smashing the east coast of Australia and we really needed the coverage from rain. Plus, all the zips never seemed like they were going to fail, and they survived being rained on as well, keeping our stuff inside nice and dry. So in terms of just general use of this carry-on, I think this suitcase is great. As I mentioned, it'll easily fit a 5 to 7 day trip with a mix of short and long sleeve clothing, so it'll be perfect to be used from spring through to autumn. And it absolutely fit perfectly into the overhead compartment in a domestic plane, as you'd expect. Now, carting it around the airport and on the ground was also really nice. The wheels were super smooth and quiet, and that contrasted really well to my wife's old beaten up antler suitcase from 2015, where the wheels have basically disintegrated. If you look at it, one of the wheels doesn't even touch the floor, and they were super loud, even on those smooth hard floors in an airport terminal. It was all we could hear, and if this were to happen to the July suitcase, which I hope it doesn't, at least things like the wheels are covered by its signature lifetime warranty. And this warranty extends to other crucial things like the zips, the wheels, as I mentioned, the handles, the internal straps, the compression pad, even the shell, all of these little protective aluminum bumpers. And this is really one of the most underrated features of a July suitcase, because people typically only upgrade when something crucial like that breaks. And it's usually one of these parts that's covered by July's warranty. So a July suitcase could actually be a suitcase for life, which is also great for sustainability. Now, what I also love about the suitcase was the fact that its handles, basically when you get past the first level, it locks in. The telescopic handles actually have unlimited height. As I mentioned before, not everyone is made the same size, so there really isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, and you can find a height that's going to be comfortable for you, and that's great. Now, of course, this wouldn't be a tech-focused channel if I didn't comment on the power bank. It's contained within this little slot just underneath the handles, and there's a little spring mechanism that pushes it in and out. It's a 1000 milliamp hour unit, which is very solid, and it works basically as you'd expect, covering the most common ports. But if there's one criticism, it's that it's not the quickest charger in the world. There's no support for quick charge or power delivery, so don't expect it to juice up your device particularly quickly. And it's not likely to be strong enough to keep your laptop charged either if you're using it, but if you're going to be on a longish flight, then it'll at least do the job to ensure your phone is ready to go on the other side. But other than that, it's been an absolute pleasure to use the July carry-on. If there's any feedback or things that I'd like to see improved if it ever does get updated in the future, is perhaps maybe have a few more zip storage pockets internally, and perhaps somehow engineer this telescopic handle and power bank to take up less of a footprint inside the case. The July carry-on starts at $295 US or 325 Australian dollars with the power bank as standard. You can get it for a little bit cheaper if you didn't want the bumpers or the power bank, but then the question will ultimately boil down to whether or not it's worth it. It's got awesome quality and the features are some of the best out there. I mean, it does the role of a suitcase excellently, and so it's a great suitcase. So the idea of value then really boils down to whether or not you value its lifetime warranty. For a suitcase that could realistically be used for 10 years or more, it could actually be a small price to pay. Sure, you can buy cheaper suitcases out there, but then you might have to replace it within a couple of years because maybe the wheel has broken or the zips no longer work, and there's not going to be any warranty that covers those parts. So it's increasingly possible that by 10 or even 5 years, you may have spent even more on multiple suitcases rather than just the one. Plus, these suitcases don't look half bad either. For me, I think it's a great option, and I happily recommend these to my friends and family. But what do you guys think of the July carry-on suitcase? Are there any others that you'd recommend? And would you fork out money for one of these? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for getting to the end of this video. Give us a like if you enjoyed what you saw, subscribe for more, and of course ding the bell icon so you don't miss out. Stay safe out there, happy travels, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.